Our first stop on leaving the visitor center was the Very Long Baseline Array.
They are direct offshoots of astronomical research. The cell phones in our pockets are direct offshoots as well. The other thing is, visible light is only an itty-bitty portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. There's a lot more light out there that we can't see as humans. Has anyone else been geeking out over the stuff coming back from the James Webb?
Yes. Yeah.
I was geeking out over this week's. It was amazing. That's one of my favorite objects. This stuff. Keep your eye out. Look for things. Keep an eye on the landscape as we go along here. I'm going to jump in and we're going to share that story about that Muana inspiration story. Talking about this navigation tradition being brought back to life here. So in order to talk about this, we're going to talk a little bit about what happened to set that up here in Hawaii. Hawaii is part of the U.S. We're the 15th state. Kind of leading the exploration of the Pacific, we had a guy named Ferdinand Magellan. Has anyone heard that guy's name?
Oh yeah.
And technically speaking, leads the first sailing expedition into the Pacific. West across the Atlantic, down south along the Americas, into the Pacific, and realized they're in trouble. Well, we knew the Pacific was there, we didn't realize how big it was. Magellan and his crew struggled across. Magellan didn't make it past the Philippines. Down above. So we look at this stuff, examine the oral histories and traditions of Polynesia. We find references to people identified as navigators or wayfinders. Well settled, big enough population, all the materials we need to trade right here. We're not worried about it. The other thing is we most likely over-harvested the trees we would have used to make these claims. Is anyone familiar with koa wood yet?
Yep.
So koa, if you haven't, Mouse sees this and decides the people of Hawaii are not worthy of his knowledge. Packs his stuff and he heads back home to Sato. As a quick side note, folks, what we are driving through.
This here is the lowest telescope on Mauna Kea. This is a radio telescope. It's part of a large array. I'm not sure how far we are up now.
This is an unnamed cinder cone near the Very Long Baseline Array. The Very Long Baseline Array is a system of 10 radio telescopes which are operated remotely from their Array Operations Center located in Socorro, New Mexico as part of the National Radio Astronomy Observatory. These 10 radio antennas work together as an array that forms the longest system in the world that uses very long baseline interferometry. This array observes 8 different frequency bands that are useful for radio astronomy. The other dishes are located in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, Hancock, New Hampshire, North Liberty, Iowa, Fort Davis, Texas, Los Alamos, New Mexico, Pie Town, New Mexico, Kitt Peak, Arizona, Owens Valley, California, and Brewster, Washington. These 2 unnamed cinder cones are located just to the northwest of the dish.
The older the lava rock is, the redder it gets. So red rock usually means the older lava rock that is because they break down the red.
This is part of a glacial moraine. There used to be huge glaciers up on top of Mauna Kea.
We then headed to the peak of Mauna Kea, where a cluster of telescopes are located. The next stop was the decommissioned James Clerk Maxwell telescope and the Submillimeter array.
That he is also in his 60s at this point, and he has never passed this knowledge on to anyone else. No one's been interested in this. He realizes that if we lose him, allegedly they're going to break that down and then take that down to Chile and rebuild it. I don't know if that's for real or not, though. If that's really feasible. Right up here, we've got the first of the little dishes right here. This one is the Submillimeter array. So managed by the Smithsonian. Each one of these little dishes, I should say not little, big dishes right here. I'm going to check out. I'm going to get up here. These actually can be picked up and moved around.
From here you can see the remainder of the telescopes.
We are nearly at the top of Mauna Kea. Here's some more of the telescopes. It's part of the it's a deep space array or something. You can see there's quite a few up here. Going up to the final, and we'll be going up to the Keck telescopes, which are up there. And from up here, you can see Maui in the distance and Haleakala. Soon to be seeing the sunset.
These radio telescopes are part of the Submillimeter array. The Submillimeter array consists of 8 6-meter diameter radio telescopes arranged as an interferometer for submillimeter wavelength observations. From here we can see the Subaru telescope and the Keck Observatory. Finally, we made our way to the summit for the view of the sunset.
We are at the top of Mauna Kea. Here's one of the Keck telescopes. Let's go across there. There's the true top of Mauna Kea. And we're not allowed to go up there. That's sacred holy land.
This is the United Kingdom Infrared Telescope. Here is Mauna Loa as seen from Mauna Kea. This is the real peak of Mauna Kea.
Here's another view of the Keck telescope. There's Mauna Loa over there. There's again the top of Mauna Kea. And as you look down over there, that is the shadow of Mauna Kea. And there's some cinder cones down there.
But these ones are my favorites. Yeah, these are my favorite views.
You can tell that it's starting to
so you see the Milky Way going
descend.
like
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It kind of puts it together, you know. Okay.
It's a big circle. We've got these 2 runways next to it.
But they haven't run the cameras in a while.
No.
Opening the shutter so
Does it happen? I guess, because there's around.
This is the 26.6-foot Gemini North Observatory. Its sister, Gemini South, is located in Chile. This is the University of Hawaii 88-inch telescope. Here are some unnamed cinder cones located on the east side of Mauna Kea. Here the sun is preparing to set.
John, you seen this Gemini open up?
So there the Gemini telescope opened up.
Yeah.
Here we see the beginning of the sunset.
I remember it followed me down, and then you passed me, and you like almost made a couple, and then I'm like, yeah, I saw you going a little.
Here we can see from left to right the Subaru telescope, the Keck 1 and 2 observatories, and the NASA Infrared Telescope facility. Here we see that the Gemini North Telescope had opened up. It had not been open for quite some time. The The sun is getting progressively lower on the horizon.
Yeah, this guy totally caught me off guard. I'm like, whoa, good thing. So,
I was like,
I saw it, I was like, Jeff's not letting this guy go, because he kept putting on his blinkers and gas. Kept trying to and why? You're gonna get anyways.
That's so cool.
Yeah, this guy totally caught me off guard. I'm like, whoa, good thing.
I was like,
I saw it, I was like, Jeff's not letting this guy out, because he kept putting on his blinkers and gas. Kept trying to and why? You're gonna get it, and I gotta get anyways.
That's so cool.
And now the sun has officially set. And here we see that the NASA Infrared Telescope facility has also opened.
There's another observatory opening up.
I look up towards Monica.
And once again, it's sunset on Mauna Kea.
We now headed back down to the visitor center to use their 11-inch Celestron telescope to view some objects in the sky. Unfortunately, there was a lot of cloud coverage down at that spot. Our guide put us back on the van and we drove for some half hour to another spot to use the telescope. After waiting for about 15 minutes for our eyes to equilibrate to the darkness, I was pleased to see the Milky Way for the very first time in my life. I was really taken by how far it stretched across the sky. Our guide set up the telescope and we took turns observing celestial objects, all the while enjoying a cup of hot cocoa. They sent us photographs of the objects we were observing. Here is the view of the Andromeda galaxy. This is the Eagle Nebula. This is M57, the Ring Nebula. And here we see the Helix Nebula.